Good morning. Maybe. Hang on a second. I'm checking over here to see if what I'm broadcasting here is actually getting there. And the picture says that yes, it's there, and the message says no, it's not. Alright, we're back now. We have the message and the it's Monday, October 3rd, 2022. My name is Terry Morgan, and we are not here to practice Bhagwajang this morning. We're here to talk about what we do in practice, and we're going to talk a little bit about why I'm not practicing this morning. There are a couple of things. One, I did this sort of on Thursday last week. I was considering class. Supposed to have been foundations for Qigong, sets 1 through 9. And we had Hurricane Ian that we were all preparing for, and I couldn't focus. All I could think about was there's a storm coming, and oh my gosh, now what? And there's not anything you can do. You can get out of the way, leave, but you can't stop it, right? The storm is going to come. It's going to hit. It's going to do whatever it's going to do, and it's going to go. That's it. That's all there is. All right. So all I could think about was, okay, there's a storm coming, and clearing my head to practice wasn't going to happen. I tried. I tried. And my decision was that I was going to talk about that. I was going to start the philosophy class, which is what we're doing here. I was going to start this philosophy class, something I've been planning on doing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And as I was teaching, I was part of the way through, we lost power for a moment. I got power back pretty quick. I was very, very lucky on that. And that I had almost no damage. I got trees that are damaged. It's going to be a problem, but the house came through it pretty good. I lost internet connection though. And I just got my internet connection back yesterday. Okay, so there's part of that I also want to talk about because it's relevant to everything that I do here. We're on the internet. This is how this is it, right? We are not in the same room. We'd like to be. We might like to be. We might not like to be. I don't know. But right now, I'm talking to whoever's listening via the internet. I didn't have an internet connection from Thursday until Sunday. Oh my gosh, she didn't have an internet connection. Oh, but look at all the people didn't have power. I recognize that. I do. I recognize that. That distinction is another one of the things that my nose itches here. There we go. Alright, is another one of the things that is extremely important to me. The classes that I teach can reach so many more people via the internet than I could ever possibly reach in person. not going to happen. Right? And that they're recorded means that we can go back and play it again from last year and it's still fine. This is a good thing. Not having that connection, and for me, it's a literal connection to the rest of the world. Not having that connection for a few days. That's part of why I'm sitting in the chair today. Caused me to do several things that were extremely productive. I did good. And very positive in moving forward some things that I've been trying to do. So, what did I do? I unplugged, right? I had to. I didn't have internet connection. The Wi-Fi connection I had was really awful. Or, excuse me, no Wi-Fi, mobile phone. Is not good. I'm used to having Wi-Fi connection here, so, that's it. So, I didn't have internet, and I did have TV. I was prepared for the hurricane, so I did have, since I had power, I did have the TV. I could watch TV. I decided that no, I was going to work on this series of books that I've been working on. And I wanted to finish book 3, and I did. That's part of why I'm sitting in the chair right now, because that effort and that story is still kicking around in my head. And as I tried to focus on, this is what I need to go back to, this is a Bagua class, I couldn't quite bring myself to jump right back in. Interesting. I thought about that. Why not? Why can't you just go right back to doing what you were doing before? I don't know. But it wasn't working. And knowing that, I'm not going to force it. That's part of listening to yourself. It's part of understanding how we as individuals function, how do we work, what do we need, and how do we get there, kind of thing. So knowing that forcing something is not going to give me the result that I want. Okay? I can keep trying. And this is difference between forcing something and trying again. If I'm trying to force something, it's just not happening, and I'm trying to push to make it happen. If I'm trying again, I'm not trying to force it. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to improve whatever it was I just did. I want to try again. And allow In a lot of cases I talk about allowing the movement to happen. I want to allow whatever it is to happen. Alright, so yesterday I was working on this novel, and I sat down in the morning, I looked at a schedule, and I looked at what I've been doing, and I looked at what I had, and yeah, okay. Oh man, I really want to finish this by the end of the year. Got 3 books that I've got in progress. They all work together. And yes, there's martial arts in all of them. Of course there is. And some of this philosophy as well. And I looked at what I still needed to do in book 3. Now, what do I need to do here? Well, I need this, and I need this, and yeah, alright, fine. I sat down with all of it when I didn't have the internet, and I hand wrote a bunch of notes, and then I decided that I was going to see what I could do to put it into form. I did that. Printed it out. I now have a whole new version of book 3, and some parts of book 4 that I hadn't quite sorted out have now been kind of sorted out. So I made progress that I didn't plan for, didn't work for, wasn't trying, wasn't going to force. Right? I sat down on Saturday. Let me try. Let me see what I can do here. So I'm take my notes, and I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to work with this, and yeah, all right, that's starting to look better. All right, let's stop there. Everything's good. New version. Sunday, I got 2 chapters done out of 5. Not bad. Not bad. They're not complete and finished, but they got new version. And I looked at chapter 3, and I'm, maybe. Oh, 4, I need more work. 5, yeah, that needs more work too. Okay, well, So I made some more notes, and then I worked on chapter 3. And I finished in about an hour and a half. And it went really well. And I said, And I ended up finishing chapters 3 and 4. Again, not complete, not fully done, but new version. All of the pieces are there. Everything that I wanted to put in, there's at least a note about it. And several new sections, several new conversations have been written. I was so very pleased. I was so pleased. I'm still grinning. Alright? It's not forced. I thought it wasn't going to happen. I thought I was going to work on it this morning. No. I have more to do. And that recognition that I have more to do, that's fine. I have this version. We do exactly the same thing in our physical practice. We don't get to print it. For me, I get to record it, but you know, you could record yours. Exactly the same thing. This is what I have today. This is what I have to work with. What am I going to do with this today? And is there something that I can see that will make what I'm doing better? In practice, that's what? For Bagua, what's better for Bagua? Being able to turn, being able to stay straight, being able to go up and down, being able to follow the pattern, understand how to make the turn. That's how you make your form better, is what did I do? How did I do it? What should I have done? What I was doing, how did it feel, right? Did this feel good? Did it not feel good? Because usually what happens, I will tell you honestly, if you're practicing well and you're practicing correctly, it will feel good. Okay, that no pain, no gain. No. We want to have a good time with practice. Now, I'm not saying that we don't work at it, but, excuse me, if you're having difficulty with something, if something isn't working well, it's not going right, it ain't it, that's not it. And I'm going to tell you, I threw out more stuff yesterday as well. I put in new stuff, but I threw it out as well. If it's not going well, stop. What is wrong with what I'm doing? Well, from the story in my case, it was that the dialogue wasn't right, it wasn't going anywhere, it stuck there, there was no, yeah. Right? Why am I even writing this? What's the point? In practice, what about this move? What else should I be paying attention to? Right? What am I paying attention to? I'm paying attention to the physical movement. I'm paying attention to how I'm sitting in this chair. I am paying attention to how I'm sitting in the chair. Okay, so feet flat on the floor, legs straight in front, sitting up straight. Right? Comfy. I am. It's comfortable. Lean back. Yeah? We don't lean back in practice, do we? No leaning back. Stay straight. Turn. Right? If I lean back, I can turn in the chair, but I can't do this. Just turn the waist. Right? And I'm gonna, anyways, arms. Alright, there we go. Alright, I'm looking for the picture here. Alright, so all I'm turning is the waist. That is part of what we want to be able to develop, right? This didn't move. None of this moved, right? I'm sitting in the chair. My waist moved. Turn the waist. That distinction is something that we work on all the time. Just sitting here forces, what am I doing with my waist? Because my hips can't move. not without getting up. The point that I was making, that I'm trying to kind of make this morning, about practice and not forcing it. Okay, so, my example from yesterday, I was writing and there were places where it just wasn't working. I threw it out. There were places it did work. I left it in. Things were going really well. And I finished. I didn't expect to, but I did. That vision to see what needed to be done, to keep going, get it done, and to bring it to completion. We're done now. Is something that our forms give us. We start and we come back to the beginning for pretty much everything we do. It's wherever we start, we come back to that place, and that's where we finish. So we're always returning, and in Tai Chi, the restoring the form, return to the beginning. In Qigong, we do this as well. We come back to where we started. That skill to work through the exercise, in my case, writing, in class, what sets are we working through? What sets are we working on? To work through the exercise, to recognize what is and is not working. Yeah, my footwork is not so great today, or my coordination is not so great today. My concentration is a little bit off today. Whatever it is, we recognize that and we work on it. We develop greater skill in both recognizing what it is that we're doing and developing it, or understanding, I'm going to say it a different way, understanding what we don't want, right? So, there's a couple more things that happen with stuff that I've been doing yesterday, and that's really what has given me my let me pause for a second here. So between all of the things that have gone right, seriously, I could still be without power and internet right now. That's gone right. I've had pretty good weekend writing. It went well. That ability to keep going and write more and recognize what's working, what's not, that worked for me really well this weekend. And that sense of not forcing it, of saying, this is what I wanted to do, this is what I'm going to try and do, this is what I'm going to work toward, this is what I'm going to work out, I'm going to put my effort there. But if it's just not working, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something else, right? Does my creative sense Is that working for me right now? What about putting the schedule together? That's not, that can be creative, but it's not the same type of creativity. Yeah, okay, I did that. Well, now that I've done that, I have that creative sense. Let me write this out, okay? In recognizing that, understanding that, I was able to not force what I was trying to do, right? I want to finish the book. That's what I'm trying to do. If I force it, if I don't pay attention to the way that I'm writing and the flow of the conversation that the characters are having, the flow of the description, the flow of the scene that I'm writing, if I don't pay attention to that, if I just, I'm going to force it, it's going to work, I'm going to finish this, that's the way it reads. Nah. Same thing happens when we try to force a movement. I show this a lot of times and I'll do it again. Tension. I'm gonna push. Right? My hand and my arm and everything is tense. Right? I wasn't tense the second time. And for me particularly, that second one is way more effective than the first one. I don't have that upper body strength to put that tension behind whatever I'm doing with my hand and my arm. But I can put that internal workmanship. And I can know when to use force and when not to. Entering and leaving. These are two of the directions that we move to, the 5 elements and the 8 directions. So the 5 elements: entering, leaving, look left, look right, center. The 8 directions: north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. I've been working on that quite a bit in Bagua class, those 8 directions. Okay, so entering and leaving are the 2 first elements. Look left, look right, center. This is from Xingyi. These 5 elements, together with the 8 directions, make up the 13 postures of Tai Chi. That combination is something that we pay attention to. It is something that we want to work with. And that sense of, now I'm going to go back again to this idea of not forcing it. In Bagua, we have the fundamental principle of turning, of a path along a circle. We can't really force that. We can move more quickly, and we can move with force. But if we're not in balance, if we're not well placed, we're not going to be able to move on that circle. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Moving in a straight line is a different matter. It's easier to do. So if I'm going to move from point A to point B, and mostly it's a straight line, and I stop at point A and I stop at point B, I have opportunity to regain my balance if I've lost it. I don't have to worry about continuity. I don't have to deal with it, right? There's a whole bunch of things I can do that are different if I'm stopping and keep going. Knowing where that no, and I'm looking for a way to say this. Knowing where that smooth path is that you're going to be able to keep going, right? You make it little of this, and then you can keep going. That's all right. You do this, and you do this. No, no. Right? That movement by itself is a description of both the practice method and the thought process that I'm trying to get to here. Right? If I'm going this way and I'm going this way and I'm going over here and I'm going over there and I'm going that, I'm scattered. I'm not paying attention to how this moves. If I'm writing and I'm going over here and I'm going over here and I'm going over here and I'm going there, I'm not paying attention to how this moves. That perception, that ability to see where there are roadblocks, where there's something that's not right, where there's something that is being forced. Now what do we do about it? Stop trying to force it. Take a step back. Take a day off. Go do something else for a minute. Look at what is getting in the way. Why do you feel like not doing this? What's the problem? Well, for me, again, a couple more things besides finishing something that I really wanted to finish have made me extremely happy. And I've talked about this, that being happy is fine. Being too happy gets in the way of what you're doing in practice. All I can think about right now is the couple of things that have happened that have made me really happy. Okay? Not yet. It's not time yet, but seriously. Finishing what I did yesterday is part of it, because, and this a little more philosophy here. All of my life, whenever what I have been doing is what I needed to be doing at the time, I have had to go through some difficulties to get going, to get it started. And then once things were in place, once I had the process started, and I'll give an example of that in a minute, it started going. And what I needed to do was to be ready to go. Alright? In way back my early days, I talk about this frequently. I was going to go to college. I wanted to go to college. I had got myself into community college. I took some tests, gave me some credits so I could get into the university. There was public university, University of Missouri, Kansas City. And I was able to get admitted. I was so scared and so happy. I had no idea what I was getting into. None. I had no clue. I didn't. And the first semester was tough. I had illness in the family. I really didn't have a clue. It was hard. And I was ready to quit. And I took a break, and I tried again. And the second time, I tried starting with a different group of classes. And I took it a little easier, and I had a different job, and things went well. I ended up graduating. I did. And it was part of that, and at the time, I did not recognize what was going on. I didn't recognize what was going on. I was going down a path. This is where I'm going in college. I'm going down this path. These are classes that I'm taking. I was going down this path. It was the wrong path for me. It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. Let's go this way. Okay, over here. Over here. That sense of, what am I supposed to be doing? Well, that's part of why I'm sitting in this chair this morning. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. It is. And it makes sense to me. It may not make sense right now in the context of some of the other things that I've been doing and the classes that I've been teaching. It will. That sense of not forcing it, of allowing. This is what I want. Let me open up to that. Let me lay the foundation to make it possible. And then let me sit back and see what happens. We do that in practice as well. We lay the foundation. What's the foundation? Our breathing, body mechanics, basic movements, our foundation, understanding of chi, internal workmanship, the kinds of things that we can and should be paying attention to, the way we move, how we connect the breath and the movement. All of these things combine as part of practice. The understanding that we bring, just sit here and think about it for a minute. Seriously, sit here and think about it for a minute. Reflect on what we're doing. That reflection to say, is my movement well coordinated? Is my breath well connected? Am I paying attention to how I feel inside? Am I paying attention to what I want? What I want from my practice? What am I practicing? Well, yesterday I was practicing writing. I was. Storytelling. I was practicing. Was. All weekend I was practicing storytelling. That idea, again, all weekend I practiced working on my car. I've done that, but not this last weekend. Alright? Being able, excuse me, so being able to look at the parts, understand how they work, recognize what may or may not be correct for what those parts are supposed to do, and fix it. Fix it part, that can be tough sometimes, and fix it. That's what we do in practice. That's what you do if you're working on your car. I went out, looked around outside after the hurricane, and I have some tree damage. There's one down in front, one leaning in the back, and another one that is going to have to come down. Don't want to do that. I like my trees, but the one in front is already pretty much down. I have to take the rest of the way down. One in the back that is leaning too much. And the other one is a fairly large tree that it could hurt the house, so it has to come down. Anything I can do about that? No. I can plant another tree. But that one is, it's gonna have to come down. The recognition of that is, how do I know? Let me answer that. The tree in question is a live oak tree, and it grew with 2 large branches, so like this. This branch was damaged badly in a previous storm, and it had to be cut away, so this is all that's left. It's still leaning, alright, and this storm that just came through did this. Just a little bit more. The problem isn't that the tree is too weak. The problem is that the soil isn't substantial enough to hold it. What it's rooted in is insubstantial. So as the water started collecting in that area and turning the ground into more of a small pond as opposed to solid ground, the tree leaned a little bit more. It's heavy on one side too, so there's that. But my point is that the wind didn't do it. The tree was strong enough The water did. The water just collected there, saturated the ground, and the tree leaned some more. That let me know that I can't, the tree has to be dealt with. I have to do something. And the tree's probably going to have to go. We have the same kind of issue. Exactly the same. In practice. Our root. I talk about that all the time as well. Sink the heel, push into the foot, grab the floor with the toes, drop the heel, use the root. Talk about it more in Tai Chi class than I have in Bagua class. But we use it all the way through. That rooting, being solid. Without it, movement appears empty, floating, as duckweed on a pond. And think about that. Duckweed on a pond doesn't have a solid root. It floats. It reads that there's no root that goes down anywhere. It's just floating on the surface of the pond. No root. Nothing solid to hook onto. Nothing solid to hold onto. Your movement can't be solid if you don't have a solid root. My tree doesn't have a solid root. It probably reaches down to one. But the about, I'm guessing 4 to 6 inches change in the angle of the branches. Okay, so not that big a change in the tree angle, but enough of a change to make that difference in the branches. It means that tree isn't solid. And while it might be able to withstand the wind, it can't withstand the water. It doesn't have the support. I was sitting and I turned my waist and my hips were solid and they didn't move because I was sitting in support and being solid. All of that idea. And you think about, well, the building is solid. This building that I'm in, yeah, more or less. There was a foundation that was set, and I'm on a concrete slab, and it's probably pretty okay. There are fence sections that are not okay after a hurricane. The neighbor has part of the fence down. It wasn't attached, it was attached on the outside. There was no root. It blew over. Posts are still there. But the fence that wasn't rooted in the ground is gone. That idea that we pay attention to what we are rooting into. A concrete slab. I got carpet over concrete slab. I got sand on the beach. Go outside, I got sand in the yard. I can go, right? That sense of being rooted, of understanding what the elements, in this case wind and water, can do. Earth, what are you rooted in, right? That we pay attention to them and we can use these ideas in our practice. So, and I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick. This idea of rooting, right? In my practice, I want to be well rooted. Sink the heel, grip your toes, press down, extend downward as much as upward, as much as outward, so that I'm solid through my stance and through whatever movement is I'm doing. I want to be well rooted. I don't want my opponent to be well rooted. I don't. I would like to disrupt my opponent so that my opponent doesn't bother me. All right? What am I going to do? All of the things that I'm trying to do for myself to keep myself rooted, I want to undo for my opponent. Right? Can I use water to uproot my opponent? Well, in Tai Chi we talk about becoming water. That Tai Chi in Liu Ba is called water boxing. Right? This sense of flow and ebb and moving around. Ba the turns. Can I use water to upset my opponent's balance? Can I use the principle of water to upset my opponent's balance? What does water do? What might water do? What are the possible things that I can do just here and over here and not over here and over here? You think about a river. This is the image that we have for Tai Chi, a river flowing. It has currents, it has flows, it moves little by little. It doesn't have to move everything all at once. Wind. Wind tends to come through pretty quick. We could think Bagua, right? It tends to be coming through pretty quick. That sense of what does the wind do? What can I do that is similar? I am not wind, but alright, so what can I do that is similar to what wind can do? And the difference between wind and water is not nearly as much as we think. There's, at a fundamental level, as we're moving, we have a certain amount of resistance from the air, and depending on where we are relative to sea level, that resistance, this is basic physics, y'all. That resistance is more or less because as we go up, the air gets thinner. That's the nature of our atmosphere. That idea works in reverse for water. There's less pressure on the surface than there is 40 feet down or 100 feet down. A lot less pressure on the surface compared to that. Those differences in the way that the air moves, the way that the water moves, how we look at that movement, how we look at a waterfall. The water's flowing over the mountain. The water's flying down to the pool that it's created below the mountain. Right? It's what a waterfall does. How does that idea, how does that concept connect with the movement that we're doing, the movement that we have, the idea behind what it is we're doing? It can be a pretty direct connection, actually. All right, that sense. What am I looking at? What can I connect to? And how can I see this movement as part of what this elemental movement might be? What kind of a movement is it? What am I doing here? Right? Every time we turn, every time we spin, we have that sense of traveling through the air that we're in, right? We're not underwater. We're not doing this underwater. We could. We're not doing this underwater. Traveling through the air that we're in, connecting our own breath, physical breath, respiration, with that movement to make the movement smoother, cleaner, more well-placed, and better connected with everything else that we're doing in the movement, as well as what we're experiencing, whatever the external environment happens to be. So this connection, this combination, we can't force it. And go back to that, don't force it, let it happen. And if it's happening, keep going. Keep going, right? That sense of, no, this is not working, or hey, this is working and I'm having a great time with it. This is the one we want. This is the one we want to correct. That, it's not working. Something's not right. What is it that's not right? Is it my balance? Is it my turn? Is it my thought process? What is it that's not quite right? I'm going to fix it. Oh, that felt good. This feels nice. I'm going to keep doing this because I like it. This doesn't feel good. I have to keep forcing it. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Are you going to keep doing this that you don't like, that you have to force? You have to force yourself to do this. You're going to keep doing that for 40 years. Yeah, no. No, you're not. It ain't going to happen. It won't. But I like this. No, yeah, I get it. This that you like, and recognizing that you like it, not forcing it, that you keep coming back, that sense that, yeah, I like this, and I want to keep doing it. Now, maybe not today. I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna do something else today. I'm not gonna do that one thing today, but I am gonna do something. that will keep you coming back for 40 years. Did me. I'm going to be here with Bagua tomorrow. I promise. I'm getting back into the rhythm of things and moving out of the extremely reflective last 4 days. So it was good. It was good. And again, I got quite a bit done that I'm extremely happy about. Bagua, palm changes 5 and 6 tomorrow. Okay, on the pattern. So I'm going to review 1 through 4, and we're going to work on 5 and 6. We'll work on 5 and 6 next week as well, because this week is, last week was, yeah, and this week it, and if you understood that, you knew exactly what I was saying all during this class. Alright, so Thursday and Friday, Qigong class. I hope you'll join me, and I hope this philosophy kind of discussion is productive. I'm going to do more of it. I will be a little bit less haphazard about it, a little bit more focused. I'll have some of the books that I have up here. I'll break those out, and we'll actually look at some things that are from the Tai Chi classics. This idea of not forcing it is from the Tai Chi classics, way. That what happens, happens, and it happens for a purpose, and we need to be able to see that, recognize it, and go with it. Alright? Find what works, cultivate that. Qigong class Thursday and Friday. I hope you'll join me. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And I got to get up and turn everything off, so. Bye.